Hello and welcome back to the Cars Ireland YouTube channel. Now, up today on the channel we have the Suzuki Swace. This silhouette may be very familiar to you, and that's with good reason. The Swace is heavily based upon the Toyota Corolla hybrid estate. Prices start in around the €30,000 mark, and our test car is in this very striking phantom brown metallic colour. I really like it. Let's get into it.
CarsIreland.ie. Click, click, vroom, vroom.
So powering the Swace is a 1.8 litre self-charging hybrid taken directly from Toyota, and it produces about 120 horsepower. So the boot, very important in an estate. It is 596 litres with the back seats up. If you drop them down, you get a van-like space of 1200 litres. The back seats are relatively comfortable for someone of my height at 6 foot behind someone in my driving position. The only thing is it lacks extras like a USB port. The only thing you really have is an armrest in the middle, and there is ISOFIX back there too. As it stands today, there is only one spec of the Swace available in Ireland, and that is the SZT. Prices start from €30,995, but if you want some fancy paint like our brown one today, that is about €600, so you're talking €31,600. So if you sat in any Corolla over the past few years, this is all very recognisably as a Toyota in here basically. That's no bad thing really, because Toyota make good interiors. Not the flashiest, but well built and built to last, as we know. So some of the features, well, you have an 8-inch touchscreen. The graphics are a bit old school, but it works really well. It has buttons where you need buttons and knobs where you need knobs. And you can put Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on it via USB. The climate control, mercifully, is controlled by buttons and knobs as well. I mean, it's old school, but my God, it works. And it works so much better than some of the newer stuff. Really wouldn't have any complaints there. We also have heated seats. Big chunky buttons down here for heated seats. The seats are fabric. They're maybe a bit narrow, but they're very supportive, and I found them very comfortable. They feel like hard wearing fabric as well. And they look okay. 2 cup holders down here in the middle, armrest with a 12-volt charger and a USB port. It's also packed with lots of safety features too, including like radar guided cruise control, blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist. All very handy when you're doing longer journeys. The steering wheel is also heated. You have your radio controls on it too. I mean, the only real issue I had was finding my driving position. I found it a bit awkward. I did want to go lower, but I can't. I can only go higher. That was at my lowest setting, and I did find myself wanting to keep going just to get in the car a bit more. You know, there are some cheaper materials around the place, like up here. That's nicely padded. This is kind of coated in fake leather. It looks well. I mean, it looks fine. Could do with a lift colour, but no real issues. The Swace has a 1.8 litre self-charging hybrid engine taken directly from Toyota. The petrol and electric motor combine to give you a total power output of 120 horsepower. There's no plugging in here, there's no interference from yourself. The engine charges the battery and it all just works away in the background. So that 120 brake horsepower will get you to 100 kilometers an hour in 11.1 seconds. So not exactly rapid. And quoted fuel economy is 4.4 litres per 100 kilometers. Top speed's 180 kilometers an hour, if that matters, which I doubt it does. So I'm going to lead with fuel economy, because that is always to the forefront of people's mind when they hear hybrid. What can it save me? And over the lifetime of this car, which is a decent 9,000 kilometers, it's seeing 5 litres per 100 kilometers on average. There is an option to prompt the car into electric only mode, but to be honest, you're better off just letting the car do it itself. It seems to know best when to deploy it and when to not use it, and when to use the petrol and the electric motor together. Just let the car do its job. There are drive modes as well, so Sport, Normal, Eco. Sport is a bit more responsive, Eco is a bit less responsive, and Normal is probably where you're going to live most of the time. But you're talking narrow margins in a 1.8 litre hybrid estate. Obviously 120 horsepower and a large-ish car is not the most amount of power in the world, and it probably could do with a teensy bit more. But in saying that, overtaking is not an issue. I think the mid-range torque is pretty decent when you have the electric motor and the petrol motor working together really well, really easily. It actually gets up and moving in those mid-range figures from like 50 to 80 without a huge issue, and I really wouldn't see overtakes as a big deal. Steering is light and vague. I mean, there's not a huge amount of feedback, but it kind of suits the car. It's got a very relaxed nature to it. The suspension is comfortable, really comfortable. It is actually the first thing I noticed when I sat in. I came from something else I can't even remember off the top of my head. Sat in, drove it a few feet, and you could really feel the comfort. It's got a nice ride to it. It deals with bumps really well. It's nice and smooth. That's the overarching feel of it. That might be something to do with having only 16-inch alloys and nice chunky tires to help that comfort. Really smooths out the road. Often in press cars you'll have 17, 18, 19-inch alloys, even 20. But when you come back to like 16, you remember, oh yeah, tires are good. Nice chunky tires are good, and they're there for a reason. Comfort. It's a good drive. It's not the most amazing thing in the world, and it kind of suits that relaxing nature that it has, that you're just going to ease back and tip along in your Suzuki Swace. We do have a CVT gearbox, which I'm really not a fan of. I'm not a fan of any CVT, to be honest. They're okay. They're getting a lot better than they used to be. It just has that weird nature of when you ask a lot of it and when you put the foot down, it's quite loud and a bit erratic. But if you drive to suit the car and the gearbox in a more relaxed manner, ease back a bit, just take it handy, it's perfectly fine. You don't even notice it. But if we do put the foot down, there's a delay, and then it's not the most pleasant sounding thing in the world. Gets the job done, gets up and moving. There is more pleasant gearboxes than CVTs, even if they are getting a bit better. You know, reliability should be good too. This is an old Toyota engine. They've been working with hybrids for 20 years plus now at this stage. They know the technology inside out. So you know that should be a reliable setup at this stage. So we're moving off slowly now. And this is more so where a self-charging hybrid uses the electric power only. Lower speeds, it tends to maybe kick in about, so now we're going 30, 40 kilometers an hour. Still all in EV mode, then the engine kicks in just as we cross the 40 kilometers an hour. So if you are doing lower speeds, it is more likely to stay in EV mode, a bit higher, and it tends, now it's not universal, it will go into EV mode at times at higher speeds, but you do get more out of it at the lower speeds. So for example, we are cruising at 70 kilometers an hour, and if I lift off, engine cuts out, electric motor kicks in. To be honest, don't know that the electric motor has kicked in or we're just cruising, but either way, the petrol engine has cut off. Foot back down, all kicks back up again. You know, Rolling Stones have that great lyric of, you can't always get what you want, but if you try sometime, you get what you need. And I think that is what the Swace is. It would cover everything you would need. It's just a want. Whether the want is there is the question. It's I don't know, it's hard to argue against, but it's hard to get excited about. If you're very pragmatic, the Swace is all the car you will ever need. And I think we will end on that. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to search for your next car, check out CarsIreland.ie, click on the link above, and we will see you again another time. Thanks for watching.